Call and response Q&A. Question and answer. New dimension. Essential aspects of life. Health. Action. Art. Family. Culture. Heritage. Breathing. Diet. Exercise. Rhythm. Emotion. This is the theme. This is the topic. This is the topic on the table. Here is something to ask yourself. Something we find. Here is something to ask ourselves. This is what I want you to answer. Call and response, question and answer. This is to consider what I want you to answer. This is what I want you to answer. To consider. To define. What is power? What is power? What is freedom? What is freedom? The two could go together. Maybe. They are, maybe one and the same. Or one and the same in ways.
As far as though the thought, right? We think involuntarily, even before we decide to think, right? We got subconscious thoughts going on. Right, but the whole idea is that thinking is an action, just like speaking is an action. Because you can have something to say and not say it. Just like you can have a thought in your mind and not consciously select the acknowledgement of your subconscious awareness of that thinking that you're doing. Based on what you're doing. Based on what you're hearing. Based on what you saying, or at least related to it in reference to, for sure. It's related, most absolutely. It's intertwined, and it's a cycle of, of relevance. However, you can put yourself in a position as well as at an angle to where your actual conscious thinking incorporates your subconscious thinking, and that it respects all possibilities, all varieties. It respects all contexts and approaches and encapsulations by not being so one-sided. It can be universal thinking. By not being so biased, by not being so intentional. Especially if it's not a universal intention. You have to think about what is the best action. Okay? What is the most worthy action? Because actions speak louder than words. But some people can't hear. Some people are deaf. Okay? Or sometimes life can be deaf to the loudness of our actions. Right? Now, how do you catch the attention of a deaf life? Louder actions? You know what I mean? So, the whole idea is, what's the best action? You know? Maybe it's not a loud action. Maybe it's a vivid action. You know what I'm saying? Something more visible as opposed to audible. To be honest with you, audio visual is the same thing. The same part of your brain that translates the data to your brain, to your mind, through your eyes, is the same part of the brain that translates the sound that you hear through your ears. Okay? In fact, a neuroscientist or a brain surgeon or a fucking brain expert, a craniologist and shit, a craniologist will tell you that unless a person could tell you the difference. If they was looking just at the brain, they wouldn't be able to even differentiate between sound and sight. Basically, this is the point I'm trying to make. Not really trying to make a point. I'm just saying, like, I wanted to try to be first to just sort of comment on that. Because like I said, I'm not necessarily an expert or whatever. And I'm searching for my words to really kind of articulate it. But at the same time, once you are able to certify and assure your appreciation universally, then the words just come natural. But you need to know the words that you can use. You know what I'm saying? You got to be hearing what people aren't saying. Because it's going to link you to exactly the perfect way to put particular things, so that it can connect universally with the specific person you speaking with. Because we all puzzle pieces, but a lot of us have fucking broke our edge off. We got a piece that's missing from the piece, so we can't even tell that it go this way, go to this part of the puzzle, because you hiding it and shit, or it's broken on you. And so we got to repair that piece of you so that we all fit better together. Otherwise, we're going to be overlooking the whole structure of the puzzle because we think you shaped this way and we already made an inventory of the shapes of shit. But your shape ain't even the real shape that it is. So now we got to go through everything else because you was hiding your fucking edge, your little bevel and shit. When if you would have just been open, then the puzzle would have came together how it needed to, and we wouldn't have to take pieces off or try to squeeze the wrong piece in your spot. You feel me? Because it's shaped close to what you would have been shaped like, but since there's no other pieces that's shaped like how you actually shaped, then this is the closest shape to it, but you was hiding the shape, and this actually a whole nother shape, and that motherfucker hiding too, so you don't even know that he ain't that cuz ain't the shape that he's supposed to be in, and you in his spot, and another nigga in your spot. You feel me? When you just communicate, you're supposed to be communicating. 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 That's what information is for, communication. Don't let the animalistic primal instinct of material man use your own power against you when it comes to communication, because the truth is unbreakable. The truth is perfect, right? It's all on how you use it. But the idea that I had was about thoughts, right? Right. We think about thinking, right? Before we think. And a lot of times we get into a mode to where now we go into, like, we turn it on and off. You know, that's an advanced person. Not necessarily an advanced person, but that's like that's a sophisticated. That's the perfect word for that would be a sophisticated, because you got soph in that. Soph means wisdom in itself. Okay? Now, a sophisticated individual, or sophisticated thinker, sophisticated conceptualizer, sophisticated communicator. You know what I'm saying? Because, see, at this point, like, even with communication and interrelating with each other, audibly as well as socially, which social means to speak, yes, the association. It's not necessarily just talking, but a social gathering. There's definitely some speaking going on, unless some other things are going on, and that's still social. But even then, you're going to still hear something. Right? So, a sophisticated individuation who is an advanced in his association or his social fucking prowess, or fucking, you know what I mean, systemizing of its own thoughts, because it's gonna happen either way, because it's this fucking war we in. Niggas trying to see, they need to know your shape. It's not their fault. We need to know each other's shapes. Not that we need to know so that we can show somebody else or we can use it against you or that we can be better than you. Because no, I want to be able to be my full shape while you can be your full shape. And we can see the picture better. The picture is coming together, and you might be closer to me making a whole little beautiful part of the picture. And that's why we click. That's why we click. Okay? And if you sophisticated, then it's like you can't help but have to like hide your connections with people. You know, just to protect the process. Because sometimes you need to, and that's the whole idea of a puzzle. That's why you buy puzzles for your kids. It's so that they can get better at structuring things. They can become more familiar, and it's more of an automated association mentally with structuring things. And that's the whole science of understanding. We think we understand something, but we don't know if we understand it until we understand something else, and then we reference our understanding of something unrelated to another something that we understand, and then we gotta understand a third thing so that we can reference the unrelatability of those two first things and accord the three things to all together, and then that shapes the understanding of each of those things, right? And that's not even including the things that we think we understood that are related to the three main things of reference. But you gotta be having puzzle pieces to do that. If you don't even put puzzles together, then you understand everything as one fucking thing. How you gonna be able to use it to your benefit and shit, basically, to be better than the next motherfucker, or faster, or to survive, basically. To basically survive off in your primal fucking, you know what I'm saying, instinct, basically, which is not your fault. However, you have to be honest with yourself. Are you thinking about thinking? And a lot of times we are and don't realize it, and that's because we've been programmed to do that. Because really we want to integrate that realm of universal thought into each of our decided ideas that we're conjuring. Because what is the context? What is the context in which you're conceptualizing, that you're having ideas, that you're doing this thinking, right? Is it because you got to go to work and you need to figure out this project? Is it because you know it's emotional and it's got to do with people's feelings and you kind of want to maneuver through emotional sort of sensational friction? You know what I mean? And a lot of times it is based on that. And that's why people be so emotionally receptive, or so, like, you know, subconsciously emotionally divisive, you know? And a lot of times they can't help but have to manipulate, because it's like that's the way they maneuver, basically. Maneuvering through that is a particular form of manipulation, if you let it be that. A lot of times you can do the opposite, which is to guide, or to be a tool of, I guess you could say, enabling, or, you know, support, encouragement, or I guess you could say like like support, like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of times people see what you're going through because they're so, you know what I mean, they're familiar, they are personally connected. They kind of like have a connection to trauma. They have a connection to dysfunction, and so it's like they see how it's unstructured because their structure is unstructured. You know, and it's like that's how they're able to kind of like interfere with your own natural process, because it's like they see what you're not looking for before you would even think to look for it, because you're focused on how it does work as opposed to how it does not work. But it's really the same thing. How it does work is not how it doesn't work, and how it doesn't work is not how it does work. But at the same time, if your goal is putting the picture together, as opposed to hiding your shape, then there's an element of knowing within you that you're drawing on for that. And that's the whole point I'm making. That realm of universal thinking is timeless in that it is the future, the past, and the present. So everything that will happen, and this is something you have to wrap your mind around. Yes, there's potentiality. Nothing is set in stone except for everything, basically. Because even though it can go either way, it's going to go one way or the next. Okay? Now that's changing with every thought that we choose to have, even the ones we don't choose to have. What happens and how it's going to happen is changing. Except for the fact that outside of time, because time only exists here on this fucking planet. The only reason we got time is because we're spinning around in a particular loop. Okay, and that's how we get time. Because of motion. Energy in motion. You go outside of the earth far enough, time is going to stop for you. The time is going to be different than it is on earth, where you are. I would imagine. I mean, okay, and this is a whole other point, right? In particular, how far it is that you get away from the earth, time is going to change. Because for one, it's going to take time for you to get back to the earth. Right? And I mean, generally speaking, but you don't realize all of this, right? Right? Generally speaking, time is passing how it would naturally pass because you're still on Earth until you leave the Earth, until you're not here on Earth and you're somewhere other than this Earth, right? However, at the same time, it's like, you gotta understand, the Earth is only one part of the universe, my nigga. Okay? Now, when it comes to this Earth, my nigga, we are less than a speck, my nigga, of all that there is. So you go to the farthest point away from where we at, which is your point of reference and what you understand, the first point of reference, right? Because then you got to go to the next furthest point in a different direction to get to a different point of reference, and that's just in distance. That's just in space. As far as, you know what I mean, the non-relatability of these interchangeable references. That makes sense to you, yes? Okay, good. You get to the furthest point of this quote-unquote universe, nigga, that's gonna take more than your lifetime, nigga. So you're not even gonna be able to reference the time that it's taking whatsoever. Okay, that's millions of years, my nigga. That's billions, that's quadrillions of years, my nigga, just to reach that point. Unless you go in your mind to begin with, but that's a whole nother conversation, bro. You can get there instantly right now just if you will it within to be. However, you don't know what's there. But if you could piece the puzzles together because things are as natural, at least more half natural than they not, then you can be able to trust that you're gonna pop up like Nightcrawler. Even though you can't see where you're going, you're gonna pop up and not be stuck in some sort of inanimate wood object because you can kinetically fuse your cells back together through teleportation in a particular place that's actually solid. Now you're stuck in the solid and you can't consciously make your mind up to do anything else because your mind is now sporadically, you know what I'm saying, stuck in this wood or whatever the fuck. That's why Nightcrawler gotta be able to see where you're going. That's why he pops. You know what I'm saying? It's like a jumping. Because if you jump too far, it's like you can't see where you're gonna end up at unless you jump far into the air. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, you can go to the moon, then from there you can pick another place on, you know what I'm saying, on Earth and just pop up right there. But even if that's still kind of far, you don't know if you're gonna pop up inside the roof of the building or on top of the roof, right? Or you don't know if you're gonna pop up in a tree. You gotta be able to see exactly where you're gonna pop up at. That's all I'm saying. Like Nightcrawler, who is doing fucking teleportation, let alone telepathy, right? Because we don't even have to say nothing to each other, yo. We don't have to say nothing to each other, right? We can look at each other and know how we really feel. We would know more how we really felt through looking at each other with less words. To begin with, right? Not only because you have to rely on that. Like, take for instance, two mute people who can't talk to each other. They gotta rely on that, and so it's just that much more stronger. But not even beyond that, words are not designed just to be speaking, and neither was writing. Writing, as another person just kind of said to me, said it out loud, is something that I kind of understood within my heart already, though, or rather that I know just from, being culturally up on it, basically, and appreciating mantra as well as hymns and incantations. Myself being a fucking soothsayer and light worker, right, through sound, I appreciate an improvisation, okay, candid improvisation, which is not written until you actually even think it, and you thinking it as you saying it, okay, and doing it as you saying it, okay. So it's threefold all at once, okay. It is the ultimate action, okay. You cannot even be written down just yet. Somebody would have to come and write that shit down, right? But then why would they write it down, especially if you just said it and did it? And when you do that, they gonna be able to remember it better than anything else that you might have thought to say to them, because they're not gonna hear you because you basically bullshitting them. But you can't bullshit if you saying it before you even able to think about it, or when you saying it before you're able to think about it. Because even with all that you are thinking, there's things that you're not thinking about. And that's the whole point, and that's why it's decay. And another point about being the distance away from the earth, that's also decay. Right? If you get far enough to where you cannot see our sun no more, which there's no way you can even go into space and not be able to see our sun from any point of space that you're in. I mean, your eyes, it's going to be hard to kind of like differentiate, to determine between all the other stars that you're looking at. But you're still going to be able to see it. And particularly not, actually, you get far enough away, it's going to fade off into the darkness. However, that's because your eyes are only so capable. But I'm not talking about the capability of eyesight. I'm talking about the very vision, the very actual light of the sun is visible, from any point, even if you got to use a telescope, right? So as long as you can reach it with your sight, time is going to relate, okay? You're not going to get nowhere in this space and not be able to see the light, bruh, of our sun. You just got to know the direction. And just because you don't know the direction don't mean it's not there. And for instance, just because you don't know you thinking it don't mean that it's not influencing what you think you thinking. Okay? So you might be turning the total different opposite direction away from, facing a different direction than the sun. However, billions of light years away to get to the very furthest part away from our Earth. But that don't mean that the light is not there and that you could not see it if you were to be able to look directly at it with the telescope. However, I do believe that you can get far enough away, just like we can't see past a particular point with telescopes from Earth. And that's just using that particular technology. Now, that technology might improve and advance to where we're able to see farthest. But who knows what we're going to run into by the time we get able to do all that. You know what I mean? And so my theory, though, my whole little argument is, as far as like being able to see the light and that relating to time and decay, right? So it's like, Thoughts exist. Thoughts exist, my nigga. Okay? Pass all of that. Okay? And so do words. Right? Say for instance, they say if you in a forest and a tree fall down, are you going to be able to hear it? If nobody is there in a forest and a tree falls down, is it going to make a sound? The answer is yes and no. Because how would you know unless you're there to hear it? If there's no ears to hear it, then the sound that it is in fact making doesn't really matter, except for into relation to who would be hearing it. Not that saying that you shouldn't care if you're not there. However, if you're not there to hear the sound, then it's not making a sound to you. However, you need to go within your mind, my nigga, and understand in everything that you're saying and everything that you're saying or everything that you're thinking, that there's sounds being made that you ain't that you ain't there to fucking hear, my nigga. There's sounds being made that you are not there to hear, my nigga. You can't be so closed to where you feel like just because the sound ain't right next to you, that there's no sounds that is existing. There's some sounds that we ain't never heard. But because we stuck interpreting our style of
translation,
audible, our style of
translation,
rhythm, our style of melody and harmony,
translation,
that we missing out on the universal
translation,
orchestra. Okay? Not we missing out, we're just limiting, we're compromising it, we're turning it against ourselves subconsciously. We're ignoring it. It's not we're not missing it because it's there the whole time, we just ignoring it. Just like that fucking tree falling in the forest. Yes, we're ignoring the sound because it's not close enough for it to make a difference to our ears. But it's still there, my nigga. Trees is falling in the forest, my G. Okay? They cutting them down, whether you dare to hear it or not. Still to this day, while they complaining about climate change. Trees is falling in the forest, and we can hear it all the way over here. So the answer to the question is yes. Trees fall in the forest, and we hear them. Because it influences what you feel, which influences what you do, which influences what you think, which influences what you say. And every way around that and next to each other. Just like what you say influences what you feel. Just like what you feel influences what you think. Or rather, what you think influences what you feel. Okay? And what you say influences what you think. So it's all a cycle. Right? It's all a cycle. All right? So my point is this. You can think to think. You can choose to think. It's all action. It's all activity and motion to begin with. And that is the key. That is the linking key. Is that it is all active. The word action means activity. Life is movement. Nothing lives that does not move. Nothing alive is not moving. So just understand that, please. And so when you get stuck, or when you stay still, and that's how you're actually able to, and that's funny because that's how you actually access the fucking, the mind's eye, basically. You access the mind's eye, the cosmic divine mind is through stilling of the mind. But see, your mind should be still at all moments, even as it's moving. It's the part, okay? It's the part. You should be able to be sound in mind if you're making a stance on anything. And to say anything, you're making a stance. It don't have to always be that serious. But if it's not that serious, then it's not that serious. Let it not be that serious, and then don't try to switch it up later like, oh yeah, whoopty wop. And especially when it comes to even improvisation. It's like people want to try to act like, oh yeah, you're not cool enough to just kind of, you know what I'm saying, to be able to go to wing it. Because they want to try to intimidate you to be nervous because they're not really in touch with that part of themselves to where they can trust their own heart, not to betray them and leave them feeling away and shit. They want to try to make it to where like, ooh, whoopty wop, yeah, you couldn't do it without having to think about it, without having it be a fucking scheme, without it being like, you know what I'm saying, a conscious effort towards a particular objective and shit. And that's fine, my nigga. But you got to understand, you need to be able to be doing advanced thinking before you make any decision to plan anything. You got to think about thinking, but there's thinking going on that's not thought about, right? So it's like, this is an action. These are all actions. Words are actions. You got to speak is an action, but words themselves are active in that they are even sound, because sound is frequency, and frequency is moving. And just like light, sound decays through distance. I can shout at the top of my lungs at the highest mountain of the world, but it's only going to reach a particular radius, a particular radius. Just like the sun only reaches a particular radius. What's the point of that? It's the point of that. The point is thought. Okay? You don't have no radius until you put the radius on it through your fucking words. Okay? Are you following me? Well, look, be careful, because I might lead you somewhere that you may not be able to handle yourself in. But I'm going to handle myself. And I can't keep my eye on you if you hiding, ho. So just be careful. And don't forget about prayer, which is also a thought, but it's also words. Okay? What is your prayer? What is your mantra? You know what I'm saying? That you didn't memorize so as to systematically repeat. Whose words are those that have captured your radius? So you look at the sun, and please look at the sun. And you look at sound, and please look at sound. And they both, beginning with the word S, or rather letter S, the sound S, sound and sight and sun, they have a radius, a reach, okay, a corona, yes, which decays based on space, distance, yes. This is called electromagnetic energy, okay? But there is an energy faster than the speed of light, okay? This is beginning to operate towards the realm of which thought derives from, okay? That kinetic energy moving through your cells as emotions is already decayed, is the point, okay? Now, when it comes to thinking and consciously thinking, which is to draw from that subconscious into the consciousness, which consciousness can be referred to as, or could be related to, or could be understood as awareness. You know what I mean? Being pointedly and decidedly aware of particular thoughts. Now, when you get into that whole mode, that is why Kanye talks about how the average person who dances well is not necessarily always the one that's reading so much. Okay? Okay, and it's not nothing wrong with being able to dance and being able to read. However, the world we live in, my G, is kind of missing out. They ignoring the party. Okay, because it's gonna take you doing some manipulative maneuvering and some maneuverable manipulation to be able to dance and read regularly. Right? And a person that can do that is a special person. I'm just saying that's very uncommon. It's not so uncommon, and I'm not fronting like that was a crazy ass ghetto ass statement to make. However, when it comes to city kids, which I'm a city kid, or at least I was when I was a kid, Kanye is a city kid, even though his mom's was a professor and his pops was a Black Panther. And he went to college and dropped out of college and made an album about dropping out of college that made him billions of dollars. He still had come from the city. And in that city, you look around and the nerds are not as appealing. Okay? And they be having little chips on their shoulder and they be trying to make people feel stupid. Okay? Because they got the time to think about what they're thinking about. Okay? Which you should think about what you're thinking about. It's good to do that. However, you must be very careful as to what your objective and your motive is when you decide to think. In a nutshell, my nigga, I can smack you with a nutsack, or I can just put it plain to you. I'm going to be 4,000% raw with you, because I'm going to say it one more time to you, because I'm going to repeat these words to you, even though I just said it and it resonated with you. I'm going to say it again so that you can reference the unrelatability of it. It is good to think of what you're thinking of. However, you must be very cautious, as well as conscious and aware, which means to be aware, that when you are deciding to think of what you're thinking about, exactly what particular context that is in, and what is your motive or objective in doing so. That's a lot to think about, and think about what you're thinking about at the same time. Okay? Because it is most important that you can arrive at ideas naturally, and that it is a regular process as well as program and system and exercise and practice that you are doing that you would not have to think about doing. Okay? This is what we call scholasticism, right? This is the academia, basically. No, that's not academia, but it's scholasticism. Now, academia is a good thing. It's a great thing. Okay? Academia is being informed and also studious. Is being very intelligible as well as conscientious. These are very good things. These are great things. These are noble things. These are sophisticated things. These are sophisticated qualities. Okay? And it goes unrecognized and uncelebrated too much for me. Especially if you got all this time to sit up and watch another person doing some shit. Because no, they wasn't in the streets fighting with us. They was fighting for us by being associated enough, being fucking knowledgeable enough of the difference between facts and truth. Which it doesn't take academia to know the difference between facts and truth. But it can involve academia. And the average person that does not lean too much towards scholasticism in academia are those individuals most interested in the objective of separating facts from truth, which is very hard to do to begin with, especially using textbook said popularized information or knowledge, so to speak, which would be educational knowledge, which would be scholastic knowledge, which would be fucking industrial. No, I don't want to say industrial. Commercial, definitely, to a certain extent. You know, it's commercial. It's a word for that. It's words for this. So you just got to be careful, like, you know what I mean? Are you thinking about what you're thinking about because you have to get something done that's going to help you be able to eat some food? Or are you taking note of the best way to communicate a particular, not emotion, but idea? Not emotion, but intention. And what is your intention? Intention. If it's not to bring good to the earth and not letting any good be lost, which is your only assignment, which is your first assignment through anything that you would choose to focus on thinking about doing. So when it comes to thoughts and words and actions, all are actions, for one. These are three sides of action when it comes to communication, when it comes to society, the social realm of fucking sound, basically, of fucking, yeah, nigga. Yeah. Sound. Poetry. Nigga. Fucking speech, nigga. Free speech, free thought, nigga. You can't be free without free thought and free speech. You know? And what is really free? It's not that it don't cost nothing. It's just that it's universal. You know, and not so compartmentalized, or it don't have no radius. You know what I'm saying? It's omnipresent, omniscient, as well as omnipotent. You know, like I was saying about the thought. Like, you go out in space, your thoughts are still reaching every part of anywhere. No matter what point in space you're in, whether you're on Earth and able to see light in the black sky turn blue at noon or not. No matter what you're thinking, it's reaching anywhere that you would physically place yourself through time. And so that's why when it comes to astral projection, when it comes to universal thinking, i.e. teleportation like Nightcrawler, it's important to see. However, that's just kind of like the fucking trap that we've set for ourselves. You know what I mean? If we were able to integrate at least half of the time, or at least half of the time, something other than that, like focusing on the unknowable as opposed to the unknown, then what we see would expand. Our very visualizations and interpretations and rationalizations would evolve. You know? It's like, imagine a different color. You can only see 7 colors, right? But, nigga, that's possible, so anything else could be possible.
But just something like that being possible would change everything.
Right? It's the point I'm making, like, and that's something I thought about ever since I just started exploring colors as an artist. I've been thinking about, that's the main thing that led me to everything, is the colors. Like, nigga, I want another color. Not that I want another color. It's like, okay, well, shit, nigga, I'm about to make everything out of these colors, cuz if there's another color, cuz that would be That would be astounding. That would be something to not really be able to enjoy, basically. I guess I don't want to be greedy. Same time, I really enjoy these colors. And if I can enjoy any one color so much, I can't help but think about, oh my goodness. Oh, yeah, the unrelatable reference of a particular potential other color. So it's like, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we got 7 colors, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, fuck, bruh. We could have had 1 color. Fuck. We gonna stop at 7? That's fine and all that. Because them 7 make all the others. But you still reference those millions of colors to 7 main colors. What if there was another main color? Then what? What would that mean? Well, shit, man. My nigga. Imagine it. Imagine it, bro. Just imagine that, yo. Imagine that shit, bro. Straight up. Imagine it. Imagine it's like 20 other colors, nigga, we ain't never even seen, bro. Imagine it, bro. Because it's that simple. It's just that simple, cuz. Like, out of respect and honor, you say, we only have 7. That's all we need. We could have not even had none of them. We could be blind, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. And then this one I'm refreshing. I'm not just speaking about sight in itself, because of course, as we were just going over, sight is limited to radius. I'm talking about the unlimited radius of sight, of vision, okay, of association, okay. And there's that word again, social. That's the root word of association, which is also in social. Okay, what else is association? Extra credit to anybody who can bring me 10 words with the root word SOC in it. Yes, you want to be humble and noble enough to appreciate the position we are in. However, it is only one piece of the puzzle, where we at and what's going on right now. So you can't be so, and honestly, it's a show of our resentment that we would be so concertedly determined to work with what we got. No, look, just work. Because a lot of times just working to your best capacity and giving yourself fully to everything that it is and that it could be, and by not saying what it isn't, you see beyond what you would ever even be able to expect is the part. And it's a testament to the fact that, of course, there is more. Because if there's any, there's all. And we can't even tell you what's in 80% of the very ocean on this earth that we can explore. Right? You talking about going to space? We ain't even went into the ocean. We got lights. We got pressurized technology and fucking industrial fucking what do you call the shit, man? Mechanisms and shit. And can't even go into the ocean and look around. I don't believe they ain't went into the ocean. I believe they went into the ocean and they done seen some shit that's letting them that's telling them not to tell us what's in the ocean. I mean, why would they not have already gone into the ocean? It's so close. The only thing that's stopping you is the pressure of the ocean, which is a lot of pressure. If you could fix that, and if you can't fix that, then what you even expect going into space for? Right? So it's like, my nigga, everything is possible in that anything is possible, and anything is possible in that everything is possible. Okay? And when it comes to colors, that's just a microcosm of the macrocosm that is thought, that is the conscience, okay, which they say is the spirit, basically. right? They talk about spirit and this and that and a soul and all that. Nigga, in psychology, which is, you know what I mean? Which psychology was around before the word soul was around. Okay? They say that your soul is your mind, where your thoughts are, nigga. So, you know what I'm saying? Get real, nigga. Talk about what, you know what I'm saying? Talk about it. Don't talk about it. Okay? Because you remember, you want your words to be universal, nigga. And you ain't gotta say nothing. Nor write nothing down. Okay? However, when you write it, just know that has power in itself. Even if don't nobody ever read it. Even if you don't even write what you wrote yourself down on a piece of paper. The fact that you wrote it down on paper. Okay? And that you marking it into the universe, my nigga. Because that ink, that pen, that pressure, that paper is all connected to every other energetic substance that exists from here to anywhere. Okay? Real talk. Take it from me. An illustrator as well as author. I'm an author and an illustrator. And I ain't even went to school to know what the root word for SOC mean. Now, when it comes to fucking thoughts, which is your soul, it's not limited. The only thing that's limited is, and which is why we do limit it so easily, is a material brain made up of brain cells, which is all for you. You can actually see it. You can blow it apart. Yeah, so what? It can be another color too.